While the state waits to see whether Governor Walker will sign bills to limit his successor's power, the governor says he hasn't even gotten them yet.
And the public is getting its first chance to weigh in on a big casino project in Beloit that's been years in the making.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to News 3 This Morning. 6 o'clock now on this Tuesday, December 11th. And we are waking up to sort of mildish temperatures today in comparison. I say mild because 20s were our highs.
It's December. We'll take what we can get.
There you
it's
go.
actually not bad here in Madison, but looking across the area, temperatures do cool a little bit to the north. Let's take a look at those first alert weather maps this morning. Skies are clear here in Madison, so we should see a good amount of sunshine again today. Here's a look at our temperatures. Oh, we've dropped now to 19. We were at 22. It's
darn
getting
it.
colder. 16 in the Dells. Down to 0, though, in Black River Falls. So temperatures do drop off pretty quickly to the north. Here's a look at our temperatures over the next 12 hours. We will climb back into the mid-30s this afternoon. Winds should stay light, and with sunshine, should actually feel like a pretty nice day. Enjoy the conditions today because it does change for tomorrow. Here's a look at your first alert traffic maps this morning. No major delays to report right now. It is starting to get a little busier as you head into the downtown areas, but otherwise, I looked around the region, no accidents either, so you're still going at posted speeds heading into Madison.
Certainly good news because that could be a very different story tomorrow.
That's true. We'll have all the details coming up in main weather.
All right. Thanks, Hattie.
You're welcome.
First this morning, Governor Walker's office says he still hasn't received the bills passed last week to limit the incoming governor's power, and he might not get them until next week. Lawmakers passed the Republican measures during their lame duck session, but they won't be brought to the governor's office until December 20th, unless he asks for them sooner. From the time he gets those bills, he'll have 6 days, not counting Sundays, to sign, veto, or partially veto the measures, which means the latest deadline to act is December 27th. If he doesn't take any action by then, the bills will automatically become law. Over the weekend, Governor-elect Tony Evers asked the governor to veto those bills, but said he wasn't optimistic that Walker would do that. A spokesperson from Walker's office said the governor is reviewing the legislation and we will advise when he takes any action.
While we wait for those bills to reach Governor Walker's desk, Governor-elect Tony Evers will be in Green Bay today, launching a statewide budget tour. He'll be joined by Lieutenant Governor-elect Mandela Barnes at UW Green Bay this afternoon, where the two will hold a public listening session on what should and should not be included in his first executive budget. Evers has already committed to making significant investments in public education. Over the next week or so, Evers and Barnes are scheduled to stop in Wausau, La Crosse, and Milwaukee. Meanwhile, the current governor and lieutenant governor will be in Pewaukee today for the 8th annual Small Business Summit. Lieutenant Governor Rebecca Clayfish will open and close the event. Governor Walker is scheduled to speak during lunch. Sessions at that summit will cover things like how Wisconsin schools can help prepare the next generation of small business owners and how the state can draw more workers here.
The public is getting a chance to weigh in tonight on a possible new resort and casino in Beloit. The proposed Ho-Chunk Casino would bring an estimated 1,500 jobs to the Beloit area. It would also include a hotel, convention center, and a water park. The Ho-Chunk Nation's application for the casino got the go-ahead from the U.S. Bureau of Indian Affairs last month after a 6-year wait. A public hearing for the project's environmental impact statement is being held at 5 this evening at the Aldrich Middle School in Beloit. Members of the city's Common Council will be there, but they aren't expected to take any action.
The hometown of a missing 13-year-old is making sure she is not forgotten this holiday season. Jamie Kloss has now been missing since October 15th, so nearly 2 months. Police were called out to her family's home in Barron on that day. That's where they found the bodies of Jamie's parents, James and Denise. Investigators do believe Jamie was abducted and say she is not a suspect in her parents' murders. There's no one in custody in connection to that crime, and it's still unclear whether this was a targeted act or a random one. Detectives have looked into thousands of tips related to Jamie and her disappearance. Meanwhile, the community is holding a Tree of Hope ceremony in her honor tomorrow. Jamie's classmates and others wrote special messages that will be displayed on the tree.
I moved around about every other year of my life, and I wanted somewhere to live forever.
We are hearing more this morning about how an Iowa County community is rallying to support a single father of 5 who lost his home in a fire over the weekend. That right there that you just heard from, he's Chris Madison. He and his family were on their way back from a vacation in Florida when they heard their home in Hollandale burn down early Saturday morning. The village's all-volunteer fire department spent 15 hours fighting the fire. They're now organizing the efforts to help the Madison family. The community has already started dropping off clothes and food for the family, even donating a storage locker for them to store it all. We have a link to more information on how you can help over on channel3000.com. Firefighters are still working to figure out the cause of another fire that destroyed a restaurant outside Cambridge yesterday. Community members are comparing the damage done to Giovanni's to the devastation from the Sun Prairie explosion. The first person to call 911 says crews were on scene within minutes, right around 8 Sunday night, but firefighters still had to work through the night to get that fire under control. The restaurant has only been in that building for about a year, but community members say it has a history as a popular eating spot going back decades.
6:05 right now, and we have had below normal temperatures for the last month or so at this point. I know it feels like much longer than that, but the state is warning while it may feel like fishing time, the lakes may not be quite ready.
Yeah, so before you get out on the ice for all those winter activities, the DNR wants to make sure you're doing it safely. Josh Breiter is live with some advice for my dad and all the other folks out on the ice this morning. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning. Because ice conditions vary, the Wisconsin DNR officials say it's important to know before you go, something many anglers have learned the hard way over the years.
I fell in so many times in my life that I'm pretty careful now. I don't want to fall in anymore.
His family probably won't be too happy to see he was out on the ice all alone. He seemed prepared. We followed him out onto Monona Bay as he was checking the thickness. He was measuring around 4 to 5 inches of what he calls good, solid ice. The DNR recommends 4 inches for ice fishing or walking. Along with that, Delbert made sure that he had all of the right equipment, like creepers on his feet, but he also has some more advice.
If you got thin ice, it's a good idea to have 2 people and one on the other end of a long rope, if you know what I mean.
I think I do. Obviously, Delbert has a good sense of humor there, but in all seriousness, he hopes people plan ahead to make sure everyone stays safe after everything he's learned over the years. Now, we check with the DNR, and because ice varies so much, they do not monitor those local ice conditions. Officials say you should be checking that thickness around every 100 feet and also using all of that safety gear. And along with not being alone on the ice, you should make sure that you're dressing warmly for the conditions and never be on any water or bodies of water that have a current running underneath. But ladies, just after 6 o'clock, and we're already seeing a whole handful of anglers out here this morning, so the itch is definitely on for all of those ice fishers.
My goodness gracious. I'm surprised actually that you and our photojournalist Mark Schilling were brave enough to trust him and go out on the ice with him.
Oh, you know, we were shimmying our way out there, but I wasn't out there for too long. I was a little nervous yet, even though Delbert said it was safe to be out there.
It doesn't matter how many times I do it. I still get a little nervous. So, and maybe rightfully so, according to the DNR. Josh Breiter reporting live this morning from downtown Madison. Thank you, Josh.
All right, there is a conversation happening here in Madison today to help farmers get the help they need during this tough dairy environment. We're previewing that meeting and the assistance it's offering after the break.
And Hattie has a preview of freezing rain that we might see overnight in our area and how it could affect your Wednesday morning drive. We'll have that when News 3 This Morning returns.
Good morning. Today we're starting off with temperatures in the teens and 20s, but yesterday we climbed into the 30s in most locations. From the Dells and all points south, highs were in the low to mid 30s, topping at 36 here in Madison. Now today temperatures are going to be very similar, so if you want a chance to get outside and enjoy some sunshine and relatively mild conditions, today would be your day. Not a whole lot happening on the radar map around here. If we zoom it way out to the Midwest perspective, you will note some snow developing across the western Dakotas. That's actually the next storm system that will move into southern Wisconsin by early tomorrow morning. So through the day today, staying dry and actually pretty nice. But an alert day has been added to the forecast for tomorrow. This storm is going to impact the morning commute. We're looking at some light snow falling during the morning, as well as the potential for a little bit of freezing rain. So there could be a light glazing of ice that would create some slippery travel conditions. Now, snow potential from this event, as I mentioned, is going to be pretty light for south central and southwestern Wisconsin. Just up to an inch of precipitation is forecast as far as snowfall is concerned. Here's a look at our almanac for the day. Temperatures normally would be topping in the low 30s today. We're in the mid 30s for highs today, so a little bit above that on the daytime high as well as the morning low. Here's a look at current temperatures. We are down now to 19, though, just dropping within the last hour. 16 in the Dells. It falls to 8 in Camp Douglas. Temperatures, though, for southern Wisconsin are still in the 20s. Winds are very light this morning, so even though it is a little bit colder to the north, you're not dealing with any wind chill. Here's a look at your future track forecast model. Temperatures will climb through the 20s this morning, back to around 30 by lunchtime. Good amount of sunshine in our forecast today as well. High temperatures should make it back into the mid 30s this afternoon. Now look for more clouds to move into the area overnight tonight. Here's a look at future track by 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. We are looking at light snow across most of southern Wisconsin. It should taper off as we head towards the afternoon, but keep in mind there is that potential for a little bit of freezing rain as well. Here's a look at the forecast then as we go through the extended time frame. We're looking at temperatures staying in the mid 30s. Another system brings a mix possible late Thursday into early Friday, but after that things quiet down for the upcoming weekend. If you are traveling this weekend, should be pretty nice around here with temperatures in the mid 30s and lots of sunshine. Speaking of travel this morning, let's get a look at those first alert traffic maps. Josh Tim has all the details. Good morning, Josh.
Let's start on the Beltline this morning. Things are moving well in both directions with no major delays for the early commuters. As we look at other roads here in King County, just a few of the usual brake lights on northbound Verona Road and on Stoughton Road near the Beltline. No problems at all downtown so far. Volume is not an issue at this point. And heading into Madison, other main routes are moving along at the posted speeds with no major crashes or delays. Your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Hattie. 6:14 your time now. Between the weather and uncertainty about the country's trade deals, it's been a tough year for Wisconsin farmers. A recent study found 84 farms in the upper Midwest filed for bankruptcy in the past year, with most of those here in Wisconsin. The state's industry leaders want to make sure local farmers can keep their business going. They're hosting a crisis management workshop today here in Madison to teach farmers about risk management and help them come up with an emergency response plan to help them get through those hard times. That workshop runs from 9 until 5 today at the Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin office. That's on Excelsior Drive.
You can help abuse survivors afford presents for their families this holiday season. That's happening later today. Domestic Abuse Intervention Services, or DAYS, is hosting a winter open house this afternoon. There will be hot cocoa, cookie decorating, and a giving tree. That's where people can donate $25 gift cards that will go to women staying at the shelter so they can shop for their kids this holiday. You'll also get to decorate an ornament for the tree in the main lobby for each donation you make. That open house runs from noon until 6. There's another opportunity to help feed our neighbors in need and make sure good food isn't going to waste. We had the head of the Badger Prairie Needs Network on the show yesterday morning to talk about that organization expanding its Kitchen to Table initiative. It's working with companies like Epic and UW Health to do this. Ahead of the ribbon cutting ceremony on Friday, Tootin' Kate's in Verona is hosting wine tasting to support that cause. The fundraiser goes from 3 this afternoon until 10 o'clock tonight. An estimated 57,000 people living in Dane County are not getting the nutrition that they need. 6:16 right now. It was the sound heard around Wisconsin this weekend. We are not talking about the roar of Packers fans after a much-needed win at Lambeau. We're unfortunately talking about the singing that went on before that just took over Twitter.
Oh, and we all love Hattie today for the sunshine in her forecast. Danica and I love her every day. But don't kill the messenger when it comes to the freezing rain she's previewing for your Wednesday. Your first alert forecast is next when News 3 This Morning returns.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Hattie McLean. Temperatures are a little bit warmer in most spots this morning than they were this time yesterday. Here's a look at the actual numbers. 19 in Madison, 20 still in Platteville, and 21 in Janesville. To the north, it does get a little colder, 13 in the Dells and 8 in Camp Douglas. So depending on where you are, you may want to add an extra layer this morning, but temperatures should climb into the 30s today with partly sunny skies this afternoon. We're looking at a high of 35. Plan ahead, though, for tomorrow. Some light snow was in the forecast. Might want to put those snow boots and snow pants back in the backpacks for Wednesday. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much, Hattie. Your time right now is 6:20, and Bango and the Milwaukee Bucks dancers will be in Madison today, bringing some help for hungry families in our community. The franchise is donating free meals to nearly 200 kids who participate in after-school activities over at the Goodman Community Center. This is all part of a bigger hunger initiative. For every shot blocked by a Bucks player this season, Cousins Subs will donate $50 to the Hunger Task Force. Over the past couple years, Cousins and the Bucks have donated more than 14,000 pounds of food and more than $50,000 to emergency food pantries.
There have been 5 weeks of Big Ten Weekly Awards so far this season, and Ethan Happ has been named Player of the Week in 4 of them now. The senior forward is averaging 27 points per game. He helped the Badgers beat Rutgers last week and scored a career-high 34 points and 11 rebounds in that overtime loss to Marquette on Saturday. Happ also leads the country in double-doubles. He's going to go for another one on Thursday night at the Kohl Center when the Badgers host Savannah State.
3 Badger football players are waking up on the Associated Press All-American team. Sophomore running back Jonathan Taylor, no surprise here, will add this to his list of accolades after winning the Doak Walker Award last week. Now, Taylor and senior offensive guard Bo Benchwall were named to the first team offensive. Senior offensive guard Michael Dieter was selected to the second team offense. Taylor, by the way, was the 4th Badger to be named the best running back in college football. Ron Dane, Monte Ball, and Melvin Gordon all won that award as well.
The twilight's last gleaming in the
Oh, you can't help but cringe there. Forget their first win without Mike McCarthy. That right there is the moment Packers fans were talking about from this weekend's game. Due to a last-minute cancellation, Frank Hermans had the chance to make his dream come true and sing the national anthem. But a commotion while the flag was being pulled out on the field distracted him, resulting in a little bit of a fumbling of the national anthem. The good news, Hermans was able to recover and time the song with the flyover. And his son was there for his first Packers game and to cheer his dad on despite his mistakes.
And I apologize. I really would love the opportunity to try one more time. And the home of the brave.
You really just got to feel for the guy, that poor man.
He definitely has a good voice. Maybe he will get that second try sometime.
I hope so. At least he had his son there to cheer him up. Woof. Poor guy.
Woof indeed.
All right, 6:23 your time now. Madison's mayor is meeting up with leaders from other cities this morning to talk about how to fight the opioid crisis as the state's sending out warnings about an uptick in overdoses in their communities.
We'll have more on that. And some parents say the idea to hire more special education teachers in Madison schools just isn't enough. The news is back in the morning on News 3 this morning.
Almost a week after the state legislature passed multiple bills, Governor Walker is still waiting for them to reach his desk, and we're still learning what's in them.
Many anglers and skaters are already hitting area lakes, but is it too soon to be out? I'm Josh Breiter, live with what you need to know to keep your family safe.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to the final half hour of News 3 this morning. It's 6:27 now on this Tuesday, December 11th. And we picked a perfect day for Josh to try out ice fishing, huh?
Yeah, it's not terribly cold outside.
Yeah, just really dark still.
Yeah, I was noticing it's so dark still. Skies
Yeah.
are clear. We will see some sunshine today.
Ooh.
But it looks like, oh yeah, there's a nice shot from the WISC-TV sky cam. Clear skies overhead this morning. Here's a wide view of what's happening across the upper Midwest. There are some clouds to the north and east. A little bit of cloud cover skirting the Mississippi River Valley as well. Our next weather maker, though, is already in the Dakotas, and that brings some light snow into our forecast for tomorrow morning. So be aware of that. We will have a storm impact the morning commute tomorrow. But for today, it actually looks pretty nice. Temperatures will climb to highs in the mid-30s this afternoon with plenty of sunshine and light winds expected. A little bit above the freezing point, so be careful if you're headed out on the ice. Here's a look at your first alert traffic maps this morning. Some brake lights starting to show up right around the Beltline and Stoughton Road areas. Otherwise, no accidents to report. Your drive times into Madison still look normal for this time of the day. And that's your first alert traffic.
We've gotten pretty spoiled with these nice commutes. Not necessarily the case if we're going to see that freezing rain over the next day or so.
And some snow as well. So extra time tomorrow.
We'll keep an eye on it. Thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
6:28 right now, and some Madison families say recommendations to add more special education staff at certain schools and take other positions away don't go far enough to help their kids. The district hired an outside consulting firm to assess the program, and that report suggests adding 10 special needs teachers and 6 support staff members. It also recommends removing 3 positions at the middle school level, something teachers, parents, and school board members spoke out against at last night's board meeting. Some were concerned that parents and students weren't even included or talked to in this study. The school board will review that report before deciding what to fund in the next budget. That won't be finalized and approved until fall of next year.
Governor Walker is still waiting for the bills passed during last week's session to get to his desk, something that might not happen for another week. In the meantime, we're learning more about what's in some of the legislation that passed. It includes provisions that would relax verification checks for companies trying to land state credits. Right now, state law requires the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, or WIDC, has to verify payroll and employment data for companies receiving state tax credits every year. Under this new bill, WIDC would only have to verify a sample of those companies instead of all of them. WIDC's chair says it's something they've already been doing for the past 3 years, and the potential new law just puts it into writing.
Madison Mayor Paul Soglin is in Nashville this morning for a national meeting on mayors of mayors, that is, on opioids. Now, this comes as the state health department issued its first public health warnings to counties where there have been abnormally high numbers of overdoses recently. The National Surveillance Program tracks the number of opioid overdoses over week-long periods and sends those alerts to make sure that local health officials are prepared to respond to an uptick in issues. The CDC launched this program about 15 years ago, but since has expanded it to include information on drug overdoses.
As the sheriff works with architects to redesign the new Dane County Jail, there's a chance inmates in that new facility will have space set aside for spiritual reflection. This idea was pitched by religious leaders over the summer when efforts first started to raise $150,000 for that area. Dane County supervisors have since drafted up a resolution that asks Sheriff Dave Mahoney for a multi-purpose room in that new jail that could be scheduled out as a spiritual space. The Public Works Board will talk about that at its meeting tonight. The jail overhaul starts next year.
One of the top counties for tourism here in the state is preparing for a 10% cut in part of its tourism budget next year. The Janesville Gazette reports Walworth County is lowering the Visitors Bureau's aid by $14,000 in 2019. The head of that organization says membership fees and advertising rates will go up to make up for that cut. The county supervisor told the paper the Bureau should also look at working with municipalities that charge room taxes. Under state law, some of that revenue has to go toward tourism.
If you are planning on taking the family out to one of Wisconsin's many lakes and rivers to enjoy a winter day, the DNR wants to make sure you have fun and stay safe.
The key is planning ahead to make sure everyone returns home safe, dry, and warm.
Dry.
Josh, yeah, that's the key there. Josh Breiter has more on what we should be looking out for on the ice. He's live on Monona Bay with that this morning. Hi, Josh.
Good morning. I've counted about a dozen anglers already out here this morning, and the guy right over my right shoulder, he's been out here since 5 o'clock. Over the last couple days, I've counted around 100 anglers out here, so people are already taking advantage of it. But it got us thinking, is it too early, especially when there's open water just on the other side of the tracks? Well, according to the Wisconsin DNR, there's no such thing as 100% safe ice. They don't even monitor local ice conditions or the thickness because ice varies so much. The DNR says ice strength is based on a combination of several factors, and they can vary from water body to water body. Ice strength can also vary in different areas of the same body of water. They recommend at least 4 inches of ice for activities like ice fishing or other activities on foot. That's about what fisherman Delbert Teamy was measuring out on Monona Bay, but after falling in so many times over the years, he's now extra careful.
Respect the ice all the time. People that don't know what they're doing shouldn't be out here on bad ice, early ice either.
The DNR says the ice should be at least 5 to 7 inches thick for a snowmobile or ATV, for a car or small pickup 8 to 12 inches, and then for a medium truck at least 12 to 15 inches. The DNR encourages you to make sure you have all of the safety gear you may need and never go out on the ice alone. You should also look and see if the ice is clear ice. That means that it's more kind of stable compared to one of those that has that honeycomb or the bubbles in it. And of course, we haven't had to deal with much snow yet, but that snow can also play a factor in how safe that ice may be. So a lot of excitement out here already this morning, but we did follow Delbert out onto the ice yesterday. We were very, very careful, but from what he was showing us, it does look pretty safe, especially out here in front of Birmingham boats. But it's definitely important to have all of that safety gear and just make sure that you are extra safe, because especially this time of the year, you want to make it home for the holidays.
You know, Josh, to be a fully informed reporter on this particular topic, I think you need to actually try ice fishing yourself. You think Delbert's given lessons?
You know, he was actually, when we were asking him questions yesterday, he kept asking us, so do you like fish? And I'm like, well, of course I like fish. And he was kind of laughing as we were following him out there, and I think he wanted us to maybe join him for a little while. But 88 years old, he said his family probably wouldn't be too crazy to see him out on the ice at that age. But he definitely a good guy, and a lot of people are already excited to be out here for the winter time.
Years of experience could teach you a thing or two. All right, Josh Sprider reporting live for us this morning. Thank you, Josh.
Respect the ice. Take a note of that. All right, if your kids are a little bit dorky about outer space like I am, there is a new exhibit that might be worth a drive for the family over winter break.
3, 2, 1, 0. We have commit. We have liftoff.
The EAA Aviation Museum in Oshkosh has a brand new exhibit to pay tribute to astronaut Frank Borman. He is best known as the commander of Apollo 8's mission in 1968, the first manned spacecraft to orbit the moon. Borman donated his personal archives, which include hundreds of his personal artifacts carried aboard space missiles. Those things have been to space, guys. The museum director says it's one of the most noteworthy donations they have ever received.
I am learning something new every morning on this shift. You're a space geek, huh?
I mean, how can you not like cool things about stars and outer space? I like dinosaurs too. All the museum dorky stuff, I'm in. So
put that one on your bucket list.
There you go. 6:35 right now. Governor Walker says the bills passed in last week's lame duck session have not even reached him yet. We will let you know what that means for when or if they will become law coming up in the morning sprint.
And if you're a major procrastinator like me and you haven't gotten all or any of your holiday shopping done, we're here to help. We have some local suggestions on where to get those unique gifts and benefit area businesses too when News 3 This Morning returns. Welcome back. We always ask you to share your morning with us here on the program, and Gwen sent this one in via Facebook. Take a look at this picture. This is over the Rock River in Jefferson. I just can't get enough of these sunrise photos.
Yeah, that is really, really nice.
Best part of the shift, either catching the sunrise at the end of the shift or these pictures, so keep them coming in.
Isn't that sad? It's like at the end. It used to be right in the middle, but it just keeps getting later and later, hopefully earlier soon. Gwen, thank you so much for sharing. What does your morning look like? Take a picture, post it over on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is. Use the hashtag MyNews3Morning. Leah and I share our favorites every morning here on the program. So wake up. Christmas is now officially 2 weeks away. Yikes. And if you were falling behind on your shopping list like me, our friends over at Madison Magazine are coming to the rescue. There's a list right now over on channel3000.com of 110 places in the Madison area where you can buy unique, locally made gifts, be it downtown, Monroe Street, or a local shop online. You can find arts and crafts, fair trade clothing, artisan cheese, and everything in between. Again, you can find that list and that story in the magazine's shopping and style section over on channel3000.com.
And speaking of holiday shopping, chances are at least one of those gifts you're about to buy are going to end up being returned. Keep in mind, some stores won't take returns unless you have a receipt. That's why DACAP says it's always a good idea to ask for a gift receipt when you're in the checkout line. Some stores only allow returns during certain time frames as well, so keep an eye out for those special conditions. And if you're ordering online, be sure to find out who is responsible for your shipping fees if you need to send something back. All right, 6:40 your time now. We have some precipitation in the forecast, but it's not the kind that'll give us that white Christmas we're all dreaming of. Nope. Hattie has the potential for freezing rain ahead this week. She's going to update the forecast when we return.
Look at that sunrise,
Gorgeous.
too. First, though, it is December 11th. Happy birthday to my aunt that's younger than me, Jamie. Yes, that's a thing. Plus, Ansel, Athena, and everyone turning 3 out there. Thank you so much for celebrating with us here on News 3 this morning.
Look who
Welcome back. You're taking a live look right now at Monona Bay. Looks like Josh Spreiter might be inside there trying out ice fishing. We will check in with Hattie and just how much sun those ice fishers are going to see today coming up in just a bit. First, though, an area brewery is celebrating the holiday season by building a special kind of tree.
Yeah, more than 250 kegs and plywood make up the Kegmas tree over at the Capitol Brewing Company. It was put up to bring attention to the brewery's new beer, the Capitol WISC-TV Wheat Ale. You can go check out the tree when the beer will first be tapped on December 20th. That is a big old tree there, and a heavy one at that, Hattie. Probably a difficult one to decorate no matter what the weather.
Yeah, I think so. They just need a little snow around that to make it festive. And we do actually have a little snow in the forecast for tomorrow. Tomorrow is an alert day for southern Wisconsin. Some light snow, as well as the potential for a little bit of freezing rain, mainly during the morning hours. This will impact the morning commute tomorrow. Roads may be a little slippery. Plan ahead today. Allow yourself a little extra time tomorrow. Here's a look at your GFS Future Track forecast model. And again, by tomorrow morning, 6:30, you can see some light snow across all of southern Wisconsin. So again, this moves in early tomorrow, moves out by the afternoon hours, but there may be a period of a little bit of freezing rain before it comes to an end as temperatures warm a little bit on Wednesday. So there might be a little glazing occurring midday Wednesday. We'll get a break from the precipitation through Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Then later on Thursday, some more moisture moving up from the south. This time temperatures look to be warm enough that we should start out as some rain mixing with or then changing to some snow Thursday night into Friday morning. So another mix possible late Thursday into early Friday. As far as snow totals are concerned, both events will add up to just about an inch here in southern Wisconsin, maybe a slightly higher amount in Madison, but generally very light snow totals. There could be up to about a quarter of an inch, though, of rain as well. So be prepared, kind of wet Wednesday and Thursday. Here's a look at Doppler track this morning. Not a whole lot happening here. We'll zoom the map out around the entire country. And really the only storm on the map is a storm moving onshore in the Pacific Northwest. There is some mountain snow developing, though, today as well. Here's a look at your travel forecast. Pretty good travel conditions from coast to coast. Outside of that rain to the northeast, we're looking at mainly dry conditions through the midsection of the country, sunshine in the south, and even into New England. We're looking at sunshine with fairly seasonable temperatures. Here across the upper Midwest, 30s for highs in southern Wisconsin. We're not in the 30s yet, though. We're at 19 here in Madison. Chicago's at 25, 26 in Des Moines. It does drop into the teens, though, as you head up towards Minneapolis. Here's a closer look at those temperatures for southern Wisconsin. Lone Rock and Boscobel right now through the Wisconsin River Valley. They're at 13 degrees, 13 as well in the Dells, 15 in Watertown. Still 20s, though, in the far southern tier of the United States, or of the state, rather. No winds to factor in, so no wind chill this morning. Our forecast highs are in the 30s today, 35 in Middleton, 34 in Stoughton. Should see partly sunny skies through the afternoon. To the west, again, a good amount of sunshine, 31 in Prairie du Chien, as well as Fenimore and Muscadet. And to the north, maybe some 20s in our far northern viewing area from Mauston over to Princeton. Here in southern Wisconsin, though, our forecast has temperatures that will stay in the mid-30s through the rest of the week. Keep in mind an alert day in the forecast for tomorrow with that potential for some snow through the morning commute, a little bit of freezing rain as well. Otherwise, another mix late Thursday into early Friday. Things quiet down, though, for the upcoming weekend. Take a look at this pet walk forecast.
Oh,
that's a whole group.
Holy smokes, that's a lot of pups.
I know, isn't that cute, though? I don't know if they get together to walk all the time, but how fun is that?
Super fun.
Better be doing that today, though, yeah?
Today would be a perfect day for a walk.
I just thought of the amount of doggy bags you need for that walk. It is a lot.
That's true.
Danica's always keeping us honest.
Stock up.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that's so fun. Bring in more of those pictures. That's great. Thanks, Ads.
You're welcome.
Stay with us. The Morning Sprint is up next right here on News 3 This Morning.
6:51, time for the morning sprint. Hattie has sun in the forecast for today before what could be an icy commute tomorrow.
And speaking of ice, Josh Spreiter has what you need to know before your family goes skating or ice fishing this season. But we start in Washington, D.C., where President Trump is still without a new chief of staff pick. The president announced over the weekend that John Kelly would be leaving the job at the end of the year. North Carolina Congressman Mark Meadows is one of the front-runners to replace Kelly. Also in the mix, Budget Director Mick Mulvaney, Acting Attorney General Matthew Whitaker, and former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie.
A woman accused of being a secret agent for the Russian government who was once photographed with Governor Walker will likely face prison time here in the United States. Maria Butina has agreed to plead guilty to a charge of felony conspiracy. Now, investigators say she tried to infiltrate Republican political circles before the 2016 election. A source close to the case tells CBS News prosecutors want her to face deportation and half a year in prison.
Governor Walker's office says he still hasn't received the bills passed last week to limit the incoming governor's power, and he might not get them until next week. Lawmakers passed those Republican measures during their lame duck session, but they won't be brought to the governor's office until December 20th. From the time he gets those bills, he'll have 6 days, not counting Sundays, to sign, veto, or partially veto them, which means the latest deadline to act is December 27th.
One of those bills limits the governor's executive powers. Another could change the way the state pays for major highway projects. And another piece of legislation could affect which companies receive state tax credits. Right now, Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, or WISC, is required to verify payroll and employment data each year for every company receiving tax credits. Under the new bill, though, WISC would only have to verify a sample of those companies instead of all of them. WISC's chair says that's something they've already been doing for the past 3 years or so.
While we wait for those bills to reach Governor Walker's desk, Governor-elect Evers will be in Green Bay today, launching a statewide budget tour. He'll be joined by Lieutenant Governor-elect Mandela Barnes at UW Green Bay this afternoon, where the two will hold a public listening session on what should and should not be included in his first executive budget. Evers has already committed to making significant investments in public education. Over the next week or so, Evers and Barnes are scheduled to make stops in Wausau, La Crosse, and Milwaukee.
And our forecast today starts with some sunshine this morning. Skies are mostly clear across southern Wisconsin. Here's a look at your temperature trend through the day, climbing through the 20s into the mid-30s this afternoon. Light winds expected through the day.
Thank you, Hattie. An independent report argues the FBI, USA Gymnastics, and Michigan State University worked too slowly to do anything about Larry Nassar. That 233-page report came a full year after the first allegations surfaced about that former Olympic gymnastics coach abusing young athletes. Nassar is now serving decades in prison.
Jamie Kloss's hometown is holding a holiday ceremony to honor her almost 2 months after she went missing. The community is holding a Tree of Hope ceremony tomorrow. Jamie's classmates and others wrote special messages to be hung on the tree. Investigators believe she was abducted. They say she is not a suspect in her parents' murders. There is no one in custody, and it's still unclear whether this was a targeted act or a random crime.
There's an interesting study for women to keep in mind if you're looking to start a family, that is. That research from UNC shows women have higher risks of getting breast cancer after childbirth compared to women who do not have children. Now, the overall risk is still low, but that slight increase may last more than 20 years. CBS This Morning will have a closer look at this study coming up in just a few minutes.
The public is getting a chance to weigh in tonight on a possible new resort and casino in Beloit. The proposed Ho-Chunk Casino would bring around 1,500 jobs to the Beloit area, along with a hotel, convention center, and a water park. The Ho-Chunk Nation's application for the casino got the go-ahead from the U.S. Bureau of Indian Affairs last month after a 6-year wait. A public hearing for the project's environmental impact statement is being held at 5 this evening at Aldrich Middle School in Beloit.
Some Madison families say recommendations to add more special education staff at certain schools don't go far enough to help their kids. A report from an outside consultant suggests adding 16 special needs teachers and staff members while removing 3 positions at the middle school level. Teachers, parents, and school board members say they're concerned the firm did not talk to students or families about this. The next budget won't be finalized and approved until fall of next year.
I'm Josh Spreiter live on Monona Bay, where DNR officials are reminding you to know the current ice conditions before you go out on the ice. According to the Wisconsin DNR, there's no such thing as 100% safe ice. Ice strength can vary. The DNR says the ice must be at least 4 inches thick for activities like ice fishing or other activities on foot. Now, as far as for when you can bring out the snowmobile or ATV with you, the DNR says the ice should be at least 5 to 7 inches thick. For a car or small pickup, 8 to 12 inches, and then for a medium truck, at least 12 to 15 inches. In addition to having the right equipment and clothing on, officials say you should never be all alone out on the ice.
All right, thank you, Josh. 6:56 now. Let's turn it over to Josh Tim with a look at your first alert traffic. Good morning, Josh.
Yeah, some brake lights beginning to pop up on the westbound side of the Beltline near the Stoughton Road exit, adding an extra minute or two to your drive. Usual slowdown showing up on inbound John Nolan near the Rimrock and Olin Avenue intersections, moving into the downtown area. Northbound Highway 14 coming out of Oregon, slow going approaching Lacey Road. No word on what's causing that slowdown yet. And all other main routes moving along at the posted speeds with no crashes or delays. Your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thank you, Josh.
And here's the view of the Capitol this morning from our Edgewater Sky Cam. Nice pinkish hue to the sky. We'll have sunshine in our forecast today. Temperatures are starting out right around 20 this morning, climbing into the mid-30s this afternoon. We're looking at a high of 35. Plenty of sun and light winds through the day, so pretty nice. Keep in mind tomorrow is an alert day. Plan ahead for tomorrow morning. Light snow is expected through the morning commute. There may also be a little bit of freezing rain as well, creating some pretty slippery roads across southern Wisconsin. Things quiet down though as we head into the upcoming weekend.
Boy, you better enjoy that sun today with the looks of tomorrow, huh?
Yeah, looks a little dicey, especially through the morning. Should quiet down for the second part of the day.
Well, and importantly, for the weekend, too.
Yes, exactly.
Never too early to look at the weekend.
Never too early, most definitely. Thanks so much for joining us. Be safe if you're heading out on the ice. We will see you back here tomorrow morning, same time, same place.
Making plans that are weather dependent? Get an accurate 12-hour, even a 10-day forecast. Download the Channel 3000 First Alert Weather app and start planning.